Working fine. We're back in business. And cooperate.
Right back. I gotta just thinking.
Okay. Your stomach hurts.
I just ate all those pancakes. On the ship. Think of bacon them.
What's the hurry? Why you gotta rush?
I don't. I would like to eat. What about me? Again.
We supposed to be playing the game together. That's the point.
I am playing.
So you've been playing this whole
Ew.
time? You've been playing this whole time? You're probably ahead of me.
Go ahead, man.
Okay.
No, the game is just.
Wait, what do you mean you can't watch?
The echo.
Oh, shit. I mean, you can mute it.
I don't know.
Thank you for the follow. Were we just on the phone together? I'm not talking to. Oh, what he said in the message. It was like censored. Okay. Let's just delete it. I need flash. Skip loans.
How do you get skip loan? How do you have?
What do you mean? Why? But skip loan you could get, and you know where that circle with all the trainers in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't get skip loan. I got Bailey, style.
A whole Dunsparce. What's a? I'm gonna try to capture every.
I just hate the systems they have it on. I don't like. I know the bug goes up. Then I'm like, I want to hit another. Happen. Another Pokemon dies because they use a kill, like body slam, anything that has a. Then and then it kills the one.
Oh yeah, because the like, AI in this game is really intelligent. That's why this game is so. Because the AI is really. They will like literally gang up on one Pokemon.
Don't tell me because I got like I said, capacity.
Double team.
And my Bayleaf knew literally thing, but except it wouldn't get the transfer to kill it. I just died. I was so mad. I was down to like my whole team. Now I'm down to. I just.
I mean, why a Dunsparce literally just almost one hit KO my Quilava. That shit's ridiculous. A Dunsparce? You gotta be freaking kidding me. This game is hacks. Game is legit hacks. Weak shit. Oh god. Yes, thank you. I was quarantined.
I think I'm crazy, but
I'm definitely going, as you can tell.
I think everyone. I know.
This is
Waiting, but I should go.
go to work. Oh yeah, you were. Wait, are you the one who told me?
I don't. I can.
Yeah, like
Um,
for the social. I've been here. I don't know. Like I got you mixed up with people from like people saying that they've been like.
yeah. Like I can work. But no, I work at my new job with uh.
But you're a man.
No, I'm just the I.
Both my Pokemon are fucking electric.
How about you? You get to spend that stuff. Or do you just like your cat?
I love him today.
Yeah. See, now you get to spend more time with them. Without the quarantine, never be at work.
Getting high.
Yeah, you're not. The only ass. So they can
This is going on YouTube. I don't know how the hell I'm gonna be. This team's a. I Their shadow Pokemon leveled up.
Don't you have to go to the cave now?
I'm in the cave right now. I thought that was. I thought that's. Okay, so I'm gonna use.
I didn't know where you.
Oh, I'm about to fight Mirror. I'm gonna use Umbreon Spun. Like you. Know his team. So wait, they're not even. I'm not even at the spot.
You know.
So are you enjoying?
I definitely want to keep Bailey. I was pretty. I want to. I don't know. I have a Makihita.
Kamakuri.
That is not. That is not.
Oh, so you're gonna have a Hariyama?
I don't know.
Also, we both have I mean, you're not. But it's gonna be an ample.
And
I think I want.
I don't know.
I know this guy's getting it as a swab.
I'll prove this.
And
I don't know. Like it's really scary that very time. Igloo.
it's probably fairy normal, or even just
Like
kill the skip. This is Skip Loon. I know Skip Loon, the shadow Pokemon. I mean, yeah. Oh my God, why you have one health? Please die.
I can't believe I did that. I looked. Multiple times.
Uh,
Second time.
I think there's this glitch. Guess you could go. Oh, so you have an Espeon on your team for me?
Dopeness.
Yeah, and why did you just keep
Yeah.
with the up? You're not.
I had both of them.
Oh, leave me alone.
I have both of them because I need. Like get all to get to the more of a, like a.
Oh, you can't see me because I don't feel like turning on a light.
I can't see you anyway.
I know. I'm talking about like
Because my
the
phone is
person
like
in
out of.
chat. Wait, you banned him?
Oh, I didn't ban them. I timed them out.
Oh, you timed him out.
Yeah.
I know him. Wait, how did I get to sleep? I thought Moonbot banned.
Because I looked at the message and
That, oh, it was you. Well, at least you're on top of your game,
I
Brianna.
mean,
At least you're on top of your game.
I don't. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't feel bad.
It is what it is.
Like I didn't ban him out. There was no. The teacher.
Oh my god, Swablu, you actually. I need that Swablu because I want to. Let me heal up. Use collab someone. Or like, I like how all my size up. But Quagsire is not gonna be
It's gonna be.
the four I have right top of. Actually, no, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
I just go with the. Grab somebody.
Could tell this is going. What, Flaffy? You've been fucking asleep for 10 hours. Please wake the fuck up.
Oh, do you know you can call them? They wake up.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I forgot. Real, if you don't get out of here, you just mad because you don't have an emulator. I'm gonna follow you back. Damn. Actually, I'm trying not to kill. Don't come here talking about. Oh, you hear me? This is annoying. Oh, my phone was overheated, so that's probably
Oh,
acting
that's fine.
dumb. Yes, iPhone's trash. iPhones are trash. I mean, it was pretty on. Because like iPhone.
Or
You know
I
what? You
can't
know
go
what?
there.
You know what? You don't have to make
The phone.
scared to hit the thing because like that's how.
I wouldn't technically get a baby,
You know
but
what?
like get a baby.
What's that even mean?
It means that was that.
Wow, caught in the first try without even hit. The saw blue. Didn't even have to hit it. Switch on my.
Babe,
I'm in the cave.
you're a baby. Tell me how I walk out at night.
Oh yeah, I remember the Pokemon.
Ew.
Even though
What do you want to? Oh, they don't have Gengar.
wait, no. Plus, how would you trade them?
Well, that makes sense. Like for example, like your dungeon can't trade against different.
Okay, 10 to 5 mirror. Give me wait for you.
Not. No, you can go and fight them.
See what? Actually, what I'm gonna do is like I'm not gonna put med. I'm smart with. Have you watched the Umbrella? Definitely watch. Wait, do you?
Is
I keep
I
forgetting. Do you have Netflix or not? Or do you just have Hulu?
no, I don't. I just.
Yo, I think. Do you know what days Little Fires are? I think it comes out.
I'm not. I pay attention.
I feel like Little Fires are like one of those.
I have
I think it'll be a crime. I don't play the song. Then again, the
There we go.
no, I'm gonna play the song. I'm gonna play the song. It's literally a crime. Yeah, like I said, the frame. I'm sorry, y'all. Are you serious? This AI literally reads your like reads your. See, what I'm doing is using Umbreon. I mean, but they ended up both of them ended up picking Green Dance, but that's not. I know damn well the AI would not.
They'll keep
Oh, you can open the door.
her.
Okay, do you know where Kale is? Please don't flinch. Of course you gonna. Look, I'm in hyper mode.
Into the
And
suddenly
a
he
guy
didn't
said
have a
hi.
cough drop. And then I got,
But there was a car.
am I?
New King's house is all the way in the corner. It has a Pokeball.
I don't know why I thought that was.
Lingered in my mind as a strange close call. I've been kidnapped before, and it happened. It struck me as strange and had me wondering.
Like the story
I got into
though.
a fight with a friend of mine
kinda
and
use them
ended
as
up
like
leaving the
background
car and
noise.
going into Walmart.
I like.
I had been talking to two guys that were friends on MySpace. I hit them up. Note that they're obvious being in their 20s and talking to some sophomore in high
I
school.
don't know where to go. Where's the
My
jail
stupid
at?
self had
The
no red
jail.
flags
The
come
jail
up.
is literally.
I asked these to pick me up and chill and
I
say
need
they're
you to
on the
show
way.
me what you're
I had
doing.
never met either of them before.
Wait.
The car pulls up and no one in the front
wait.
seat. Okay. The one guy, I
Maybe I
guess.
should have.
Hop in the front seat. Immediately startled because the guy I was talking with back there,
I don't know
just
where
in
to
the
go.
seat behind me. I got a
Your
weird
screen.
vibe, but I got out of the car
just
and
took
jumped
off-
into
you
the seat
just
and moved over to the middle.
Oh, the
Strange, but I
gear.
just figured
Okay.
he wanted me to sit back there
I know where
with
to
him.
I
go.
went
He agreed to go to a girlfriend of mine's
office.
house to smoke. I
And
grew up
then
in Las
there's
Vegas. There is a
so
huge freeway that runs
You
through
have
the
to
desert
leave the
that makes
city.
a
You have to go
giant
to
loop
the
around the city called
that
the
construction
215.
line, and
Take
you gotta
that.
get a gear. That's all the
As
top
we were
right.
driving, I tried to chat.
okay.
A lot of silence, especially.
I remember like that was that one thing.
So sorry. 8. Bro, my life. Stop listening.
It's kind of funny how they it's AI. It's too is. Bro. Ludicolo is weak.
But I'm saying their type is one.
Pretty sure I'm Lud.
Over.
Oh, I didn't know you wanted to play something. I could download. Oh my god. How much are they?
Together. I think the original price is like it's so cool because then we can play together.
17. When I start work.
Yeah. We get the back to her. I think she
Run me my money.
I mean you can always ask. To go to school. Typically
Oh my god, can these Ludicolo die? But like, I tanking. See, this is why I use Umbreon for this battle, because Umbreon tank these like so many hits. Look at this, taking 4 damage.
yeah, I know. Oh, that's what I mean. I keep Like, is really
I do not have. I don't place Pokemon down. Sorry. Sick of this damn. Oh wait, I think the reason why Mantine is faster than
who is the chief?
Chief.
Yeah, it says please.
The, the chief is the cop. I cannot. I can't show you this because like I can't show you.
Is he in this? Is he in the city?
He's in the Pirate City. Yes, he's like the first building on your.
They have me. Oh, here's your gear bag. The chief is gone though.
I low key want to.
Never mind.
I assume people's
Let her die.
genders.
You
I said her. I said her.
should die.
Rock slide. You crazy?
Okay, so I could not find.
Rock slide hit both of them at the fucking same time. What is this
Yeah.
game?
You didn't know that?
I didn't know it happens in this game too. This game is
It-
ridiculous, yo. I hate this game.
Why are you?
Why am I playing it? Because I love it. I'm a sadist. Clearly. Okay, can we get rid of this damn Louis? Should have been dead. Should have been. Thunderwave. I want to use reflect. I'm gonna use. Because I know that pseudo world.
Everywhere.
To win.
I don't know. Because that's not everyone.
He's literally in the blue building, the first building.
Yes, I went in there. He's not at his desk.
What part
That's
of the
why I
game are
found
you
the
at?
jail key.
I'm so confused on where you at.
Building.
Oh, let me use the bathroom.
First of all, there is no green building.
Okay, I'm back. I am back. Oh boy. Um. eh, Get rid of that. I'm surprised you're still here. Ain't you doing doubles? Dang. I low key. At first, I thought when you said you was at my level, like in the.
I didn't know what as a book too. So when I got to the
Please, Flappy, if you kill that thing, did the worst thing. At least you didn't kill it. It's a thought. Damn.
oh, you got me excited.
I mean, about your. Use the lattice method to. Okay, so I'm gonna use another. Pseudo
Dude,
pseudo.
don't you have a water type of
I need to catch it.
but don't they give you a chance at the what?
Yeah, but second time.
I'd rather do it second time. Yeah, Pokemon right there, you that's my thing.
You really was going
It's
to
wasted.
different cities just for a Pokemon.
Yes.
You know, also you could use the take out the Pokemon.
Oh, that's what. It's even.
Are you
But it's just like
sure?
sitting. Yeah.
Traveling to a whole
But it's
city.
just like sitting there. Advertising. Safe.
Next we're playing Pokemon.
I.
Have you ever played Pokemon?
Yeah, that's the one we actually. At XD. Yeah. Well, because it came out. I don't remember it came out. We got that one because that was
Why did Duke give us soul? Ever since I opened,
That's like Windows. That's what cats do. They love.
God, I can't corroborate. You want to see the cat? He's all the way at the window.
Cat always quiet.
You know what? Something else. Then we're supposed to.
They're supposed to go to. How many battles does the Colosseum have?
Most likely. Oh, this is where we go. I'm at the part where we're going waking our. Taking but it was the Metatites.
It doesn't matter. It's yours
Damn.
now. I didn't have to take it out. And
Heartless. What if that was that Pokemon's prize possession? Wait, there's a boss coming with Entei. That
Just a fight
boss,
Entei or
huh?
just a fight Entei?
Yes. Catch it.
Right now?
No, like
At the end.
there's a,
At the
like
end,
after
right?
the I can't get to my word. So there's after the when you verify your Pokemon, you have to go to the like mount battle thing. That's where you got
Mm-hmm.
go to fight Entei. Entei's level.
Oh, he alright. There's a
If you beat Entei before me, I'm actually gonna block.
scream. Oh, really?
I'm
Wow.
kidding. I'm kidding.
I have to. I doubt it.
You have way much more to do. You have to
I
fight the
know.
Colosseum. You have to go do all this battle. Like both. You have to catch like battle Pokemon. You have to fight everyone in like Mr. Mirabee.
If I take a nap, back up. As long as they're not too.
Happens.
Together. It's a really fun game if you up tier. And then it actually works a little bit better because
You said yell at each other.
technically, so I'll get a chance. Go ahead. You pretty much you're like cooking. There are different stages out of like collaborate. Can get really, but it's pretty fun. So my sister.
Damn man.
I don't think that's how that works.
Because Mantine has the whole water absorb and it only resorts from.
Sometimes just
He's like, fuck you,
forget everybody
SPR.
else.
Six? I didn't know it was six. The ouchie. Oh, your favorite Pokemon is always wanted. Never. They evolved at level 4. What's a good Pokemon for competitive? For the longest, I thought Shroomis was half poison. because you know.
Wait, I thought does it evolve?
Yeah, Breloom, fighting type.
It's a fighting top. What's grass poison?
Grass poison. Bulbasaur. There's a lot of grass.
It's not true.
I mean, it would make sense.
Yeah, but can't he learn poison type moves? Oh, he can. Okay, that's. But what happened to your stories?
Stories. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
because
that's about the guy getting kidnapped.
we've been talking, so like, how the fuck did Espeon get to like one
from the guy driving. Or him saying anything. Then the driver turns on opera music. He turns it up full blast, just sitting there in complete silence.
Mantine, if you're the reason why Espeon dies, I'm actually gonna kill him.
I was pretty weirded out, but we made it to my friend's house after a long drive and kind of tried to put it to the back of my mind. As we sat with her and her boyfriend taking rips, more and more paranoid. The guys were still quiet and weird, and I don't remember most of the awkward conversation they made, as little as there was. It was mostly me, her, and her boyfriend talking. As we left, I got a strange feeling I might die that night. I looked at my friend, and I was so out of it, I was trying to give her hints that I was scared. I said, "Okay, well, if I never see you again, I love you." She laughs and says, "Of course I'll see you." I panic a little and text my dad nothing but their license plate number. When I read it the next day,
yeah, Mantine is actually being angsty. It went to hyper mode 3 times.
I don't know. I kind of like when they go in hyper mode. Especially if I'm trying to catch something. Yeah, it just wastes the time. And if you get the bar down.
Get bubble.
Wait, is Delibird not normal?
Delibird is ice and fun.
Oh. No, because I hit it with Makihita's Vital Charm. And it was just.
text just said, "I don't know what this means." We're driving on this new desert freeway around the city, and I'm in the back seat. I'm really high beyond belief. The guy next to me in the middle seat is just staring at me. I can't bring myself to look at him and just sit there, trying to convince myself to stop being weird. Thinking, let's do it. Just kiss the guy. I began to, and the friend starts blaring this freaking opera music again. We're out in the middle of nowhere, and I'm making out with this guy in his 20s. We're about 15 miles from where I was staying to drop me off. All of a sudden, on this lonely desert highway, pull off on a lonely desert road. I immediately flip out. I start screaming and yelling and pushing the guy off of me and asking where he thinks he's going. He responds,
"What is happening?
Wrong exit.
Are they being like...
And to try to calm me down. Wrong exit. There's nothing for miles in any direction. The opera music continues to blare. They eventually drop me off at the same Walmart in the middle of the night. I called my mom and picked up, grounded. Didn't really care. They were bartenders, and as long as you're in the door by 1 in the morning, no one knows the difference. I began to convince myself that I was just high and it wasn't really a big deal. Guys were just weird. I was just really paranoid. So they eventually hit me up on MySpace again, and I hang out with them. Me and my friend Sarah meet them at a park.
MySpace.
Yeah,
She was
these are
17 and
MySpace
had a car,
stories.
so she drove. I wanted to
Oh,
smoke,
okay.
and they had some, but she declined. Both her parents were cops and wouldn't smoke and drive. I take a hit, and I think they were either counting on me being alone or her doing the same. I was definitely drugged. I'm very well versed in basically anything you can think of now, although I will say I'm about 5 years clean of anything hard. I
Pikachu
just have a
is
drink or
in
two
the
after
camera,
work
but
these
I don't
days.
know.
But immediately I felt strange, incredibly strange.
And he's gonna like,
I was drooling and
oh my
having
god,
serious
Pikachu,
trouble
that's streaming.
speaking, walking. Sarah got me out of the car and began to try to walk me to hers down a short street. I was walking like my legs were stuck in mud. I kept laying on the
He's gonna lay
sidewalk,
on
and
all
when
the
I would close my
phones.
eyes, I was patterns of tiny ponies, red and
Oh
blue.
my god.
She determined to
God,
get me up and try to walk me to the car.
Pikachu,
My guess is what
please.
should have taken a minute or two lasted
Just lay
for at
down.
least a half hour. I was completely incapacitated. We eventually made it to her car. We met a large group of friends at a gas station, but I still couldn't move. I was looking at myself in the passenger mirror, and people were gathering around and giggling. "What's wrong with Katie?" someone asked. We eventually ended up at a friend's apartment where my close friend Taylor sat with me while I laid on the carpet. I still couldn't really talk or move, but kept saying I had drank and smoked just like him to people as I laid there, terrified. I took one
Pikachu
hit
all
off
up
that
in the
thing.
camera.
What really messes me up is I told the entire thing to my brother, who is really active on sites like Tumblr and Reddit and all those kind of social media sites. Years later, he said this to me. The story you told me
Damn,
about
I
the
should
guys
use
with the opera
return.
music? Mine, and I read an almost identical story. These guys are doing the same thing, blaring opera music and trying to drive her into the middle of nowhere. They begin to have their way with her, and she ends up kicking one of them in the nose and breaking it. Just took off running into the night. It gave me chills, the similarities, man. A couple years later, I met my husband online. My brother came with me to pick him up from the airport because he was in a nasty breakup and didn't want to be alone. I made him sit in the back because I
Come
wanted my
on, I
future
keep
husband
picking
to
the
have the
wrong
front
fucking
seat.
move.
My husband later said something that will stick with me. He said if you have a strange person in the car, have them sit next to the driver and someone sit in the seat behind them, so they're easy to attack and subdue if needed.
The
Exactly
fuck?
like those two men did with me. They might not have counted on me getting into the back seat instead,
I literally killed
and it also
Flappy
means they planned
by
out one
accident.
sitting in back, unless they were just incredibly weak.
Well,
They stopped somewhere, and
better off
he got out of the
dead.
passenger seat, sat in the back for a reason. I always wondered if I was face to face with a couple of budding serial
Honestly,
killers or
it's
something.
dead weight.
They kept at it, but my
Flappy
dumb
is
luck
good.
kept messing it up. Getting in the back seat, flipping out, designated drivers, etc. Maybe if they had been a little more confident in the beginning,
I mean, like, I
wouldn't
guess
be
if
able
I'm
to
like
type in
starving to
this.
death, then like a trash
Now I know
can burger
MySpace
is good
doesn't
as
exist
well.
anymore, but I know there's a lot more social media out there, so please, be careful.
So I guess it's just perspective.
So this story starts in 2006, back when MySpace was very
I wonder if you
popular.
can see Pikachu.
My little sister, Baby, very
I
active on the
can't.
site, profile,
He's like
adding and
literally
chatting with
in
random
front of
people
me,
daily.
just
She
chilling and
started
laying
telling
on the
her friends
phone.
she has a boyfriend, Marcus, in
Oh.
Atlanta, and when his family comes to visit other family members,
He's
they
a
would
sweet
meet up.
baby.
We lived in a small suburb outside of Chicago called Sauk Village. I scolded her about telling random people where we
I think
lived
she's
and
looking
how
for clout.
dangerous it was. She stated she only told him what town.
He should have
It's
his
not
own
like he could
Twitch
immediately
channel.
find her. They continued
It's just
speaking via
24/7
MySpace and
chat
eventually
stream.
texted in 2007.
The story
When
of the
Marcus
huge
informed
clay
her he
doll?
and his family would be in
What the hell is
Chicago,
that?
that they should definitely meet up to hang. She agreed, but never spoke a word about it to anyone. The Friday spring break was set to start. I made it in the house after school and started my chores. It was weird because Baby would usually get home at that same time as me, as high school let out at 2:45. She got out at 3:15. By 5 p.m., I noticed that she still had not come home. I went searching for her, leaving
good
the
with
back
you?
door unlocked just in case she popped up while I was gone. I went to her friend's house who stayed 2 blocks away, and last time we saw a baby let out walking down the trail.
That's
I checked with
creepy.
other friends and they confirmed that they had not seen her. While walking home, I noticed a black Nissan Altima with Georgia tags driving very slowly around my block. I got that feeling like static running from my ears to my feet, so I jumped the back gate and ran into my
Please
back
don't touch the
door.
phone.
I continued calling baby's phone and family members. Did her ping.
Just
I
say
knew
it.
baby was still logged into MySpace, so I read her messages, thinking clue there. The first few messages were her friends telling her I was looking for her. Get home before she got in trouble, but the fourth down was Marcus. Read, baby, on your block. Saw you jump that fence, hiding from me. I was shook. Saw her jump a fence. So I read through their thread, and my horror, I realized she had sent in both of us in it. Clarified which one she was. Her mother didn't allow her to post pictures of herself on her profile, so it was very easy when she ever one you wanted her to be. While I was reading the thread, I hear a car door slam. More voices approaching my door. Window. I go to my windows and light taps. I can hear baby's voice urging me to open the window. I open the window and she slides in and turns off the light, holding my hand to the closet with her. Said Marcus is not 13 like he said. He's old, like his 30s. He saw me and asked where my sister was, so I was avoiding the house. I scolded her and said she should have come home first. The banging on the door grew tense. I heard more footsteps on the back patio. I panicked because I couldn't remember if I locked the door or not. Just then, my
If this
question
speech
was
should only use
answered.
Thunderbolt.
I heard heavy footsteps coming down the stairs into that place that we were in. I took out my phone and I called 911. My address and asked for. I heard a voice say, "Baby, where are you?" A sinister laugh to follow. A crack of light shone through the closet with my room.
Ew, I can hear
Tears started
Pikachu
streaming down baby's face.
Did
Then the
you
person in
say
the car
ill?
started beeping the horn crazy.
It comes
He
and
ran out of the
goes,
house
so it sounds
and
very
I heard
weird.
tires
Like
peel
someone
off.
sitting on the
Too scared to move, I put the phone back to my ear. The operator said the police are outside. I refused to move. Actually, legs refused to move. I felt paralyzed. The police came downstairs and said, "Lady, okay to come out. House is all clear." Ran out, jumped on the officer out of relief. We
Said
printed out all the
kitty.
messages and the login info to the investigators. The person left fingerprints on the door and wall, so they fingerprints. After, fast forward to 2018, I'm on Facebook and I posted a transformation
His name is
picture of
Pikachu,
baby and I in a
yes.
group. And I
I'm
went to
weird.
work. When I got off, I had a message from someone named Marcus saying,
I honestly can't see him with any
"Get
other
away
name, to be
once.
honest.
Get you next time." Put a request in my profile.
Oh, hell no.
This happened to me when I was 11, or if you will, in 2005. It was a usual summer day for me. I got up at about noon, went on a bike ride with my brother, home, and spent most of the remaining daylight in our above-ground pool. We were well off, but by no means rich. But as I was relaxing for the night and bent on spending the rest of the night playing video games, I decided to check my MySpace profile really quick. Spend some of the energy on my games there.
Oh my fucking
As I
god. I
finish off
needed
my Dog
electric.
Wars
I
energy
mean,
bar,
coffee.
get to close out the browser and head back downstairs to play some PlayStation when I get a friend request.
Oh my gosh, I killed the
Allie,
Gamma.
13,
You killed the
3
what?
hours away from nowhere, Kentucky.
Gamma.
I clicked the name
Oh,
because
shit.
I didn't know
Yeah.
an Allie.
I got a
Not
critical
even
hit.
Allison, or really any girls who had A named
Oh
at
my
all.
god.
He was pretty. 11-year-old me scoffed like, "Want to be friends with me?" I almost ignored it. Almost. I accepted the request, and with not much else to do, sent her a message, asking a simple question like, "I know you from somewhere?" She tells me I've met, but she's friends with one of my friends, Mike. I check out her profile. Mike share a lot of common interests, are on each other's friends list, so it checks out. Messaged Mike to ask him about her,
Oh,
but
come the fuck on.
I was a
I
very
needed
trusting
you.
young boy and had no reason to believe she was anything but what she said she was. For the next few weeks, I talked to her every night, for less than 3 hours usually. We'd just chat about things, school, music, television,
Why did
typical kid
Reflect
things.
fail?
I didn't really think anything about it
Oh my
more than just being
god.
MySpace friends, until she said that she liked me. I sort of laughed it off, thinking she just meant like in the way of friends like each other. However, clarified that she meant had feelings for me and wanted to meet in real life. They're pretty far away from me, though I didn't really see how this would be possible. I knew my parents were not about to take me to some girl I'd met online's house. I wouldn't want them to in the first place. They were decent
He
parents
said
and
what?
all. I never felt like I could talk to them
Knocked
about
Owl
these kinds of
learned
things,
fly.
so I just sort of shrugged it off.
You're keeping Noctowl on your
I
team?
told her it'd be hard for us to meet because, as much as I
Most of
like
the
riding
time,
my
man.
bike, a 3-hour bike ride to a part of the state I'd hardly ever seen
He's a pretty
before was
solid
not something
actress.
I'd be
I don't know if
comfortable
the girl
doing.
would.
Very understanding and said that she wanted
But
to
they're
talk on
pretty
the phone
solid.
instead of just messages. I agreed, but told her never to call my number and to always let me call her. I didn't want my parents picking up and asking questions. She
What the
understood, and I
fuck?
called her. The first time I got her dad, rough, who is this? It was weird because I had the phone with me on the computer. I told her I was calling, had the phone with her as well. However, of it at all. I told him it was James or Allie. Told me to hold on a second. Rustling sound on the phone, like someone trying to make it sound like they were handing it over to someone. Again, I didn't really think of it when I pitched hello. More of it. We talked for a few minutes. She had to go because her dad was all as well. I shrugged it off and told her to just message me. Talk again later. We kept messaging back and forth, and before I knew it, it was almost the end of the summer. Not satisfied having not met me in person yet, so she posed an idea. She said there was an end of summer event going on at a lake near my house. Said she and her family used to go there sometimes and probably talked them into going there for the event. My family usually went to the area on 4th of July and stuff and had a nice time there in July. It wasn't too hard for me to meet folks as well. A few nights later, lets me know that they had agreed. Super excited to finally meet me. She told me she was going to kiss me as she saw me, and I just sort of blushed and tried my best to make it sound like it wasn't a big deal. Like I was some stud who kissed plenty of girls before, but I wasn't. I was totally pumped to finally kiss a girl. Nights away. I had a hard time sleeping the next couple of nights.
No, I'm listening
I
to
stayed up
someone
most
called
of the night
Let's
talking
Read.
to Allie, both excited, couldn't wait to meet. Very much a magical experience. The night before, I think I stayed up till 8 a.m. talking to her. So the day had come, and after an early afternoon bike ride and a short swim,
Do you watch
our
his
family
videos?
loaded into the car, and my dad took the truck so that me and my brother could take our bikes to the lake with us. There was plenty of bike trails, and we enjoyed riding there. I told my brother I wasn't going to be hanging with him the whole night.
Oh, that's
However,
so cool.
I would only ride with
I
him a
usually
little bit
watch
before
them,
I went
listen
to
to
meet
them to
another
fall
friend.
asleep.
He wanted to tag along, like little brothers often do, but I quickly convinced him he didn't want to hang out with me because the kids were mean. I was only hanging out with him because one of them. He didn't ask questions after that. About an hour later, the sun started to set. My brother said that he was going back to meet our parents anyway. He didn't like riding in the dark. He had a habit of crashing as it was, so I ventured off on my own, was without hindrance. Way to the picnic area, Allie and I had agreed to that. Sat on one of the
They ain't do
picnic
shit.
tables, my bike resting against the slide. I sat for a long time, so long that I started to get worried, ready to leave because the fireworks were about to start and Allie hadn't shown up yet. I stood up and jumped down from the picnic table. Just as I did, a rusty old white pickup truck pulled up beside the tables. The man inside reached across the cab to roll down the window and gave me a weird smile. Allie's dad, going to take me to her. I started feeling strange about the
come on.
situation. Gave him a blank stare and said, "What?" He turned the engine off, thinking maybe I couldn't hear him over the sound of it.
Yo, why
He
is
climbed
this
out of
thing
the
so
truck.
powerful?
I said, "I'm here to take you to Allie.
Oh my
Come on in,"
god.
he said, opening the passenger door and motioning to climb in. The truck
I'm about
was
to
full of
lose
garbage.
this.
Looked very dirty. Smelled oil and other things coming from the truck. I gave a crooked look and told him I wasn't going to get in. As he grabbed my arm and pulled me towards the truck, pretty quickly what he was all about. Get in the truck, he barked, squeezing my arm so tightly that I thought it was broken. I pulled away, practically giving myself an Indian burn as I told him I was leaving. He came after me, so I did the only thing I think I could do to repel a grown man twice my size, probably thrice my age.
Thrice
I
my
reared
age.
back, square in the genitals. I didn't bother to see how he handled the blow. I hopped on my bike and pedaled with all my might back to the other side of the lake where my family was. He didn't follow me. I don't think he did. If he did, he might have seen my dad, who was
Thank
a
you for the
rather
follow,
large guy,
Roman
and definitely not
Point.
someone you'd want to fight with.
Roman
In a
Pointive.
few years. I
Sorry.
never saw him again. When I got home and went to message Allie to tell her what a jerk her dad was,
Yo, how the fuck did
profile was
Flappy
gone.
die? I wasn't
I saw
even
Mike just
looking.
before school started,
It's a
and he
shit
said he had
Pokemon.
no idea
Yo,
who Allie
are you
was, and didn't even
serious?
remember
That
adding
shit's
her on
annoying.
MySpace.
God.
It wasn't until some years later I realized how terribly close I'd come to being abducted. God knows what that
What
man
brings you back to the
wanted
stream? Have you
to
played
me.
Pokemon Colosseum before? Yeah. So this battle, shit. I have to start
This is a
over.
bit of a throwback.
Wait,
2006 to be
what?
exact. This is about my
Hold up,
encounter
what
with a guy I
happened?
met online named Jared. I have no idea how he came across my profile on MySpace because we had no friends in
Oh, I'm
common,
gonna play Pokemon
but he messaged me wanting to know about me. I
XD
thought that he
next.
lived only about
After this
45
game.
minutes north of me, and I remember thinking he was very attractive. Saw that we had a lot of the same interests,
Wait, so
and
how the
I
fuck did I
found
get
his
back?
statuses
Please don't tell me.
hilarious. Even though adding
What the
people I
fuck
didn't know on
happened?
MySpace was completely out of character for me, I'm introverted, private, and don't really like meeting people, I decided to add him anyway. He started messaging me a lot, and really piqued my curiosity because he's so different from all the guys I had grown up with. His humor was a bit odd, and I still found him to be hilarious.
I usually play
I
Smash
remember using
Bros,
a
but
friend's
today is
computer to
gonna
talk
be
to him
like
one night. She
different.
walked up behind me and said, "That." I told her I didn't know, but I liked him. Says, "Ask him out." Not sure, why not? He only lives 45 minutes away and he seems really cool. We
Why did it
exchanged
bring me all
phone
the way back
numbers
here?
and
What
set a
the hell
date for dinner
happened?
that week. Jared told me to meet him at the grocery store near his house and I could just follow him to his apartment in my car. I thought that
Oh.
idea sounded great. I pulled up and had to wait about 10 minutes or so until he got there. Pulled up right next to me and I was immediately thrown
Shrouded
off because
hand.
it was dark out at this point. I could
I'll
still
I'll
tell
check them
right
out.
away
I
that
need more
he
people. I
wasn't
need more
nearly
scary
as
stories
attractive
because like
as the
I'm running out
profile
of
pictures
the people I
present.
watch. I
I
literally binge
decided I
watch these
wasn't going to
shits.
be so shallow and proceeded to follow him to his place, where it starts to get. As we were driving down a two-way road, there was a succession of entrance apartment complexes, spaced about 15 in front of one another. Garrett keeps turning on
It's
his
hot as
blinker,
hell in
turning
here.
in, and swiftly turning back
This
out,
laptop doesn't make it
like
any
he's
better.
trying to psych me out. I'll admit that the first time it was pretty
I
funny.
don't watch them to
I
get
thought,
scared. I watch them
got
to
me.
like.
However,
I don't know. It's just
that
entertaining
initial
people
feeling
tell their
quickly
stories.
fades as he does this for nearly every single entrance way to his place, 9 or 10 times. Now I'm thinking,
Rarely
what
ever
is
do
he
I get
doing?
scared.
I actually became insulted and thought he was trying to lose at this point. I kept on having to brake. Cars are starting to build up behind me, making the drive take forever because I'm having to slow down for this nonsense. Had I not been a naive 17-year-old, I would have followed my F this instinct, turned around and drove all the way back home. But no, of course not. I chalked all this up to a sense of humor, tried to give him a chance. Finally get to his apartment. We have a normal introduction, walk into his place. It's a
The
typical
Pokemon in this
bachelor
game are
pad, I tell
absolutely
myself,
broken,
as I see the back of his entrance door is
and the
entirely
AI is
covered in
like
naked
Einstein
chicks.
levels of
Think
advanced,
a
which is
collage
crazy.
of the filthiest
If
smut
only
hung up to cover every inch of the 7-foot tall
modern
door.
Pokemon games were like.
Hey, whatever. Single guy, I'm thinking. Not the classiest guy, but a guy nonetheless.
Same.
Wait,
Sometimes I
we
put
get to
them.
talking. It's kind
I
of
use these
quiet,
as background noise
but
for my
for the most
stream.
part, he's awkward and doesn't know what to say. It's at this point that I notice
I used
he's
to get
wearing
scared
a
of
really
creepypastas,
raggedy
especially
white
ones with like
t-shirt.
Jack the Ripper and shit.
Weird. It's been about 15 or 20 minutes. Then at his place, He's hanging out in his
Can I get out of this
kitchen
damn?
to ask me personal questions. I start taunting him about his awkwardness to A, lighten the mood, and B, get him to change the subject. Example, he asked, how many guys have you slept with? And I retort, wow, very nice question to ask a girl on a first date, Jerry. Get this smooth. Eats it up and playing a game. This goes back and forth for about 10 minutes before I ask when we're going to dinner. He sort of snaps back into reality and says he has to change.
I think I'm gonna play until
Thank
10,
God he
and
comes
then
back
I'm
out
going
looking
to
pretty sharp. This
stop
night will
playing.
turn out
Alright, that's
alright.
cool.
I could not have been any more wrong. Get into his car, which is a pretty decent Mustang. Go to some place he
How
wants
long
to
have I
take
been
me for
streaming?
dinner. We're driving for about 15 minutes before he says he
hour
needs to
maybe?
make a
An hour,
detour
2
to
hours
see a
maybe?
friend.
Hour and 24 minutes.
Okay, I said. The friend walks up to the side of my door. They talk for a couple of minutes, and then the friend starts to get in the car. Jared looks at me and asks me to get back. At this point, this guy is really starting to get on my nerves. More rude, dying in the back seat. This is just the worst. Wait until he dumps this friend somewhere because I'm starving. Drive all the way up here to hang out with a stranger. I have no clue why I picked this friend up. I have a hunch because of how quick the interaction was, buying drugs, but I couldn't see into the front seat or hear blaring music.
Where the fuck
As
I'm
we were
going
driving
anymore?
where I only presume is back to the friend's place to drop him off, he starts
Back to
driving
reality.
very erratically, pulling some more absurdity he was doing earlier, less turning sharp corners like he's Dale Earnhardt. But really he's driving like Mr. McGill. I'm being tossed all over the back seat, and I see the friend is hanging on for dear life as well. Then, when I think it's all over, he starts to turn to go into the neighborhood, but he has to cross a lane of oncoming traffic. Making his way through
Yo,
the
this
turn,
fucking
he
cave
stops.
is...
I freak out. All I can see are headlights, tiny backseat windows shining, coming right at us. Me and the friend in the front seat, screaming nonsensically. I don't even remember what I said. Screaming. As soon as we are almost
Do you ever
rammed
just
by a
scream,
giant
Brianna?
Cadillac that has
Brianna?
to slam on their brakes so hard they
For no
fishtail,
reason at all.
he peels out, completing the
No.
turn. I'm shocked. I didn't even say anything. I wait until he drops his now totally
Do I
calm and
think about
collected
it?
friend
Sure.
off, and I
Do
tell
I
him I'd
do
like
it?
to go
No.
home. He drives me back in complete silence. We get to his place, he hurries over to my side and lets me out, but he is standing so close that I have to squeeze past him. As I am trying to get out of his deathmobile, he places the hand he isn't holding the door open with on the other side of me, trapping me between him and the car. Look at him, staring at me. So I say, I'm not kissing you. He responds, come on, just go upstairs. I have to literally hold back a guffaw. I tell him,
what?
okay, Jim,
Wait,
that's
what did she
enough for
say?
one night. Gonna go now.
Agafa.
See you later, okay? Still staring intensely into my eyes, and I'm just praying he lets me
I don't know what's
leave.
going on.
He starts to shift away, and at that moment,
Like
he's
I'm,
letting me go.
like I was listening the whole
He
time, but
pushes
like
his mouth
I don't
onto mine
understand
so
what the fuck
hard
just
that
what she
I'm
said.
thrown into the side of the car. I barely struggle free and haul it to my car, quickly looking behind me, see that it's standing there. I start driving the long 45 minutes home in silence. I am so relieved that I get to go home to my nice warm bed. All of a sudden, I hear my phone. Ding,
I have
ding,
17
ding,
shadow
ding, ding, ding.
Pokemon.
I hear about 20 messages coming in. When I look at my phone, I feel sick. The text reads, hey, why did you leave? Back. Play more games with you. Is this a game? Want to play a game? Okay, I'll give you 15 minutes back here.
The
I'm counting
fuck?
down.
This is
1,
cringe.
2, 4. Seal. Let's come back. This game at all. I sent all of
God,
that within a
that's
period
low-key
of 2
what
to
some of
3
these
minutes.
texts on like
Around
Tinder
10
be like.
minutes after I left.
So fucking creepy.
All I can remember thinking is,
What in the
what?
world?
That? How can someone be so awesome online and end up just being no? One last note. The next morning, the entire top right half of my mouth and a bit underneath my nose was swollen and bruised. Never again on MySpace.
Please get both. Please get both. Yes, thank
In
you.
grade 5, a friend of mine, Chloe, was messaged on MySpace by our mutual friend, Asha. Asha asked Chloe to
That's a
meet at
nice.
the park
That's
by
a pretty
Chloe's
name.
house. Chloe had baseball practice, so she told her another day. Asha insisted that today was best and really wanted to hang out, even for just 10 minutes. Chloe told her no again as she was about to go eat dinner. Chloe thought it was strange that Asha was so persistent. They had never hung out outside of school afterward. The next day, Chloe confronted Asha. I'm sorry I couldn't hang out yesterday at baseball practice. Free tonight if you want. Asha was talking about it last. On MySpace, he asked me to hang out last night. Asha then explained she didn't message Chloe. Yet, she had recently gotten a new account due to spam she
I
was
think I'm just
receiving.
going to ignore the why
The
not
scariest part to me, Asha
and
had
just
referred to the
jump
park by
hit
its
my
name,
top.
which isn't a very common one. A couple of years ago, my friend saw a green van parked on the street the park was on, with a middle-aged man inside. It only showed up during soccer games. When lots
Are
of
you
kids
sure?
were
How many
around,
Pokemon do they have
he
left?
would leave.
Huh?
Kids left. My
I said, how
friend
many
lived
Pokemon do
across
they
the
have
street
left?
from the park.
He
Noticed
has
this
a
from her
Clamperla.
window. Chloe
Okay.
deleted
I was gonna
MySpace
say,
when she
like,
got home.
if
Not sure if
one
that
is
van
asleep, then you can
messaged
just
her
kill the
that
one.
night.
The
was
why not
correlated
doesn't
or
do
not.
anything at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it just uses mirror code. So unless you're like if you're hitting it with a special attack.
Back in the days when MySpace was on its way out and Facebook was rising to popularity, my family had a very counter.
I ain't gotta do
I was in
nothing.
ninth grade at the
I
time,
ain't gotta do
young and
shit.
quite naive about the
That's
dangers
basically
of the
why not.
internet. It's another way of saying that I was friends with about anyone on MySpace. I remember this guy's page letter. His name was Matt. His picture was a guy in an army dress, and he had light blonde hair, brown eyes, and was very pale. Looked to be about 20. In retrospect, what was a 20-year-old doing adding a 13-year-old on MySpace anyway? I thought nothing of it. We
Pretty
never
creepy.
messaged or commented back and forth, other than adding him as a friend. Never had any other contact. Then, one night, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize, an area code that was very unfamiliar. The text message was innocuous. Hey, smiley face. I asked who it was, and I'm told, Matt from MySpace. I ask how he got my number, and I'm told, posted it. That was a lie. While I didn't know a lot about internet safety, that was something I knew better than. However, just to make sure I hadn't done something so stupid, I combed through all of my bulletins
Yes!
and
I got to
blogs
hit my
and
top.
found
I got it.
nothing
I caught
even
it.
remotely like that.
Yeah.
I never responded after that. Now and then, I would text from
Pop it
him,
right in your.
looking too
Never look at it
hey
again.
beautiful, or so
Are you
pretty,
gonna use hit my
or
top?
I really like your new profile picture. And
Probably
because
not.
it seems so trivial, I
No,
never
we got a
mentioned it to
fighting
anybody.
Pokemon.
Not even my
Oh yeah,
close friends or
Haryana.
sister, with
I mean, yeah,
whom I am
Makita.
very close. I just wouldn't respond. One day, he sent me a string of texts asking me pretty personal questions. I told him to delete the number and not contact me again. After that, I didn't hear from him for about 4 weeks. On that night, he sends me the usual,
Don't go
hey, what are you up to?
chasing.
I go off on him. I tell him he's harassing
I was only
me,
thinking that
he's
because
an adult and get
Emperor
into
was
some
using that.
serious trouble for what
move.
he's doing. Better drop it and leave me alone
Yeah.
for good, or I would call the cops.
Does that hit
He didn't
everyone?
respond.
That would
I
just
thought
hit
I had
one
finally
person.
gotten the message across, so ready for bed. I had just put on my pajamas when my little sister, 4 years, walks into my room and tells me this guy who claims I gave the number. Obviously, it was a dude. It's always a running joke that I raised, so she calls me her firstborn mother. She tells me that protective, paternal, if you will, instincts kick in. I tell my parents everything. All the cops. When they get out to file the report, my sister and I have to tell them everything. Show them the old text and the MySpace picture. Get to work.
See, why was this? Why
The
was the
cops
second
call the
time
police
the
department in the same
easiest?
area code as the guy and report what's going on. They end up arresting some 25-year-old guy who wasn't in the
Are you
army,
sleepy?
whose name was not Matt, and who was involved in some sort of weird ring of people getting phone numbers, sending mildly inappropriate texts to young girls on appropriate communication, something like that. This is something that obviously happened to me a long time ago. as MySpace
Those
no
are
longer
not Pikachu
relevant, but
noises.
still gives me those
Actually,
from
no,
time
never
to
mind.
time.
I can hear it.
It's not as bad as
Yeah.
some of the stories I've heard before, but stuck with me. When I was in high school, just like everyone else had a MySpace. Like everyone else, I posted selfies. I never considered myself very popular online. I wasn't one of those people with hundreds of friends. My real
What
name
happened?
wasn't even on the thing, or my actual
no, never
hometown.
mind. I closed
Mostly I
Discord
used
and
it to
was
see
like,
what my
no, I
friends
didn't
were
mean
up
do
to, but I also used it as a personal photo album to share and post pictures of random things I've done.
that.
I went to the
I'm
mall
gonna
one
head out
night
and
with a
then
bunch of friends,
that's
which
gonna
was
be
a
the
typical
stream.
Friday outing. We
Alright.
would meet, we
Night.
watch a movie,
Alright.
and more than likely spend time at the arcade playing DDR. A bunch of us were at Hot Topic, another common haunt for us teenagers. We were browsing their selection, thinking of what outfit would be best to defy our conservative parents when, out of the blue, he arrives. The guy was overweight, slightly taller than me, obviously much older. He had the look of someone who had never matured past the age of 17, despite being mid to late 20s. Why else would he be approaching a 16-year-old in a Hot Topic on a Friday night? The first thing out of his mouth upon seeing me was, "Hey, I know you, Mooney." I stopped dead and stared at him, racking my memory. Friends called me. Moniker, adopted in high school, was not associated in my name. I thought for half a second that I had met the guy at some anime convention. For some reason, he recognized me. Then he said without hesitation, "From MySpace." My eyes widened as my brain spun through responses, trying to come up with a proper way to interact with this creeper. "Oh, are we friends?" I asked him hesitantly. I definitely did not recognize him. Typically was very good about becoming acquainted with anyone I was friends with online. "No, I just have seen you. Around. Washington, D.C., right?" he asked. I now knew this guy only knew from online. I had set my location in Washington because I was paranoid about posting my actual town. I didn't want to be found by creepers like him. The conversation that followed was filled with awkward, idle chit-chat as I attempted to move closer and closer to the door of the Hot Topic, all the while trying to make sure that my friends were close to me. I attained no information on how this guy found me on MySpace, or why he spent a long enough time on MySpace to actually memorize what I look like. It's not as if though I had very distinguished. I was the typical 16-year-old punk wannabe kid who wore Hot Topic skirts, Hello Kitty shirts, sometimes hats with animal ears. Other than that, I was distinguishable from any teen on a busy Friday night. I mentioned before, I was not very popular on the website. I had barely 50 friends. I was far from internet famous or boxy teen recognition status. My photos were not profane. I did not dress in an appropriately way. Quite frankly, I was, and still am, pretty average in the looks department. After that, I set my MySpace to private and blocked most of the people I didn't know personally. It's been a case of people who you talk to online. Situation. Spoke to the guy. Found my profile online. Acquainted with just photographs. This happened sometime back when MySpace was the biggest social network. YouTube was just coming on the scene, and I had uploaded some silly videos posted on my MySpace profile. At the time, I was a young and slim guy. For those who don't remember the time before Facebook, mostly everyone added anyone who requested them. No one really considered privacy settings. There was some who did, but for people my age at the time, we never spoke of it. My profile was public. One day I received a friend request message. I accepted first. First mistake. Clicked on their profile to see their picture. But they didn't have any, and the ones they did have were of landmarks. The only info I knew was that it was a male in his early 30s, 17 at this time. Well, I clicked on the message, read something like this. "Hi, I'm new to Houston. I'm not gay, but I have this group of friends. Don't discriminate. You seem really interesting, and I'd like to get to know you. By the way, I am gay, and I'm being a-hole, but I replied that I didn't believe that it was weird. He had gay friends if himself was not gay. He replied in defense. I remember what he said because enough not to give me time of day. I should have, but I didn't. Problem because I spoke on MySpace again. Months later, I was coming back from the mall by myself when my car began to overheat. I had a 95 Mazda Millennia, always giving me problems. I was really far from home and I didn't stop. Eventually my car died in the middle of the road, so I was stuck there, clueless about what to do. Others were just passing me by. My family wasn't picking calls and neither were any of my friends. I was freaking out, but after a few minutes, I see a utility truck slowing down and a man step out. He offers help and calls me Mr. MySpace. That he tried to make a joke because I'm young and therefore must spend my time on MySpace. There's some gray hair and looks old. I kind of get a bad vibe at this point, but no one else is stopping. It says, "Don't remember me?" No? Friends on MySpace. All those videos on your saw them. Sent you a message about being cool and wanting to be friends. First I didn't remember, but then I thought back and realized it had to be the same guy who sent me the messages, friend request. Doubt at this point. All I can say, "Oh?" Smile anxiously, saying over and over, "I can't believe how we meet. Much bigger than me. Take me." Puts his hand on my shoulder and then my back. What to do? We're looking at my car, trying to keep the conversation about my car, staring at me and says, "So cute. Go out dancing." Laugh nervously. I don't want him to be rude because he's the only one that stopped to help. And he says, "I can't believe this is how we meet." I laugh nervously again. Push the car to the parking lot of the supermarket on the other side of the street. Once we get to the lot, he asks me again if I want to go dancing. His hands are on my shoulder, a run, when another car with a young couple pulls into the lot and asks if we can help. It's ready to answer no for me, but I say yes. They get out. The man and the creeper look at my car. It's decided that I should leave my car there and then come back for it later with a tow truck and have my dad look at it when he can. The man from MySpace tells the couple thanks, sort of implying he's going to take me home. I'm starting to get scared because I don't want this man to know where I live. What to do? I know now that I shouldn't have worried about offending the offender, but I was young then. Thankfully, the couple still asks if I need a ride to my house, and I immediately say yes. The man looks surprised as if he thought I should have gone with him. I get in the car with the couple. They tell me that they stopped because I was uncomfortable. I was so happy that the man never found out where I lived. The couple was nice enough to stop and help when they saw someone else had stopped already and helped me push my car into the lot. I deleted one I didn't know personally from MySpace, set my profile to private, and on. Lesson learned.
I didn't give Jump Off a nickname because I'm not gonna have Jump Off for my final team.
One night I was running on the treadmill in the garage when some guy was walking up my driveway. Now, it would be weird enough to see a cul-de-sac, let alone my driveway. I get off, close the garage door, and don't think anything of it. I was walking to my car to go to school the next morning. My window was broken in, and I realized I left my purse in the car. So I filed a report and all that jazz and go to school. I assumed it was that guy and told my parents and everyone, but I don't know who he was, much we could do. Back in the day of MySpace. I randomly get a message from a creepy-looking guy who looked similar to the guy from the night my car got broken into. Said that they found my cards on the side of the road, wanted to return them. I said, "Awesome. My purse happened to show up too. It would be great." And no
I
questions
would have
asked.
wasted a whole name on
He
it.
asked
What
where
was
he
gonna
should
name is
send it
Space.
to, and I said the address on my driver's license that he had. So a week goes by, and I
Probably
think
after
anything
I
of
get
it.
into, I'm
I
probably
get a
not
friend
gonna
request and message from him. He said, "Kid you not." Fit
I'm
in
probably
that
not gonna
envelope,
use Jump Off after
as well as
Inte
how I
battle.
am beautiful and junk. I accepted his friend request because his profile was private. Stupid 16-year-old girl. I clicked on his photos, pictures of a gutted, naked woman. I show my dad, and it blows me off. Today, he sends me a message that says, "We'll cross paths soon." I freak out. I tell my dad that I think he's going to come to the house because he had my driver's license and obviously where I lived. Different guy than the person I saw in my driveway. My dad and mom say, "I'm worrying. No big deal." Tell them, if I go missing. My card showed up eventually. Thank God. Never heard of them again. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell to be alerted
Everyone
of all
deserves a
future
name.
narrations. If you got a
Mostly
story,
everyone.
be sure to submit them to my subreddit. R let About 9 months ago, me and my partner had just bought a new 6-month-old boxer dog to keep our 3-year-old Labrador
Are we gonna play
company.
tomorrow,
We
Brianna?
decided it would be a good idea to take them for a walk in the countryside. We live close to a large city called Hull in northeast England. Decided to go for the walk in a ruralish area north of the River Humber that ran through to the sea. Upon getting to a village close to a local landmark, a World War II Army fort, we decided to walk close by and through the small patches of forest close to the nature reserve. We walked along a grass bunker toward the forest, and suddenly my partner pointed out 2 young men had began walking up the bank from the woods in a diagonal manner, as if they were trying to cut us off. From close by, I wondered if the young men were attending some sort of World War II reenactment, as they were both wearing camouflage pants and were also covered in dust and dirt. I thought nothing of them both. I was sure that they would pass us by.
Okay,
But as they
that's
grew
fine.
closer, it appeared they were aiming and
Do you
walking
think
towards us.
you could play
They were at
a
least
little
10
bit
feet
so you
away
could
when
like
they
get to the
stopped, and one of them spoke up. The way he spoke still bothers me to this day, as he
Actually,
seemed
never
to
mind,
have
never
a
mind, never mind.
disregard for manners, or even trying to make sense. The young man wanted to know where we were planning on walking, and we told him we were not really sure, just see where we ended up. The young man looked disappointed by this and suggested we take his route. Went through the forest to what he described as a great place to sightsee and sit, as there were benches to sit down. While the young man was telling us about this, the other boy kept watch of our 2 dogs almost constantly, as if he wanted to make sure they were always in his sight at all time. He didn't have much knowledge of this area, had not seen any other dog walkers, so we took the young man's advice after they pointed to an opening in the woods, so we walked on. The woods cast out about 30% of the sunlight. As I looked back, I saw that the young man had not walked off, but were watching us walk into the forest. The track looked as though it was man-made, as it seemed to be the only walkable area throughout that forest. About 2 minutes into the trek, our Labrador began sniffing behind a bramble bush, which at first we thought nothing of, as both dogs sniff everywhere they can when we walk them, but however she began sniffing in one spot and rolling on the floor. We went over to her and saw she began sniffing some sort of shattered rubber pig mask with brown-red liquid on it. It looked disgusting. My partner forced the dog away from it. It looked as though flies were crawling all around it. Further into the walk, the woods had turned into a long path of trees and bushes that had become very narrow, but we could see a turn far ahead, and we agreed that if it led nowhere, we would turn back. I walked ahead and was on my phone preparing to take a photo of the woods when I felt several small pricks in my neck, chin, part of my face. I let out a gasp to alert my partner, and he told me to stand still in an alarmed way, followed by him carefully removing thin pieces of string away from my face. As it turned out, someone had tied fishing hooks on lines to a tree in the walkway. It's safe to say that we were both terrified, angry after this point, and hurried back to the car and left back to home. I don't want to sound cliche or anything, but as we drove off, I swear I could see someone through the back mirror out the road. Last year I was hiking Shenandoah, Virginia. Planned 2-day hiking trip, myself and 2 friends. Late into the first day, one of my friends grew ill and decided to turn back. The second friend joined him in case it got worse. They told me to go on. I'd been looking forward to the trip. I did. As evening approached, I came upon a clearing in the forest. On a table, surrounded by tools and several cans of spray paint, an elaborate dollhouse. It was large, perhaps 3 feet tall. Its walls and windows were open, had just been built and drying. That lingering The smell of spray paint still hung in the air around it. On the back of the house, a photo had been affixed. The family picture, old, perhaps taken in the 80s. Everyone in the picture looked very uncomfortable, like they didn't want to take the picture or were forced to. Not scared, very uncomfortable. I left it and continued on so that I might reach my planned campsite by nightfall. The wind picked up considerably. In the distance, I heard a branch give and fall, crashing to the forest floor, startling me. I found my campsite, but was a bit unnerved by the dollhouse in the middle of nowhere. I realized I didn't want to camp out in the open where whoever was working on it might stumble upon me. I had one of those little one-person tents that stand just tall enough for a person to lay down in. I set it up behind a thick stand of brush, one side blocked off by a tall stand of rocks. I was glad for this because not only was I now hidden, but the rocks
Should've just
effectively
gave him
blocked the
Anton a
heavy
freaking
winds, which had now
seed.
turned cold as the frigid air tumbled down from the mountains at night. The sound of wind-churned forest was relaxing. I fell asleep right away. Have you ever been awoken by a loud sound and you're unsure what it is exactly, but some remnant of it echoes in your mind for a moment after waking? It would happen to me sometime later, pitch dark. I had the sensation that someone was. I listened intently, trying to hear over the wind. I heard a man's voice somewhere in the distance, harsh, rapid, softer. It was too far away from me to discern what he was saying, but close enough that I could hear inflection and cadence. It sounded like a crazy person scolding himself. Then, his voice became softer, answering. As I listened, his voice grew louder and louder, until I could hear his clumsy footfalls crashing towards me. He walked by where I was camped, just several feet away from the brush that concealed me. By now my eyes had adapted somewhat to the pale moonlight, but I still couldn't make out anything more than a large, massive shape. Probably about 6'6", heavily built. He was carrying something long beneath his arm, a rolled up tape, I guessed. Angrily talking about someone's face and how it haunted him. His voice then became childlike, and his conversation with himself turned to the topic of cheese and crackers. He was clearly off his rocker. After a moment he continued on, his voice receding until I could no longer hear him. I slept little that night afterward. At first light I booked it back the way I came, back to town, and I noted that the dollhouse was not in the clearing when I passed back by. This happened a few years ago. I believe it was the summer going into my junior year of high school. I'd been going to sleepover camps since I was very young. Summer was no exception. However, I was in a different option of camp this year where I would be hiking the Appalachian Trail for 2 weeks as opposed to staying on the campgrounds. It was a new experience for me, but I was very excited because I'm an adventurous person. So on this trip was me, the 2 female counselors, and 9 other girls. This happened a few days after our trip began, so we were still getting to know each other a little more, but we were also pretty comfortable around each other. We stopped for lunch around this water fountain. Our spot was on the trail, but just happened to be by a portion of the trail where a road went through. While we were eating, we all noticed one of those stereotypical creeper vans driving back and forth in the same portion of the road. None of us really said anything, but we all noticed it. After about 5 minutes of this van driving back and forth, it pulled onto the trail close to where we were eating. It just sat there. I guess we all figured the driver was lost or was looking for a bathroom because none of us said anything about it. Finally, a man got out of the car, ran up to us, and started screaming. "Does anyone know CPR? My half-brother has the shakes." Immediately our 2 counselors got up and ran to his van. They were gone for a few minutes and we started getting suspicious. Who began saying, "Saw his van drive by a few times, and it's an emergency. Why would he take the time to say half-brother?" Our counselors finally came back with these blank looks on their face. We began asking them a bunch of questions, but they wouldn't talk. This man walked up to us with these weird puppet things. One of those plastic statues people put on their porch for Halloween, only there was no bowl full of candy. He began asking us questions, but no one answered. We just kept eating our lunch in silence. In a creepy way, he said, "My puppet likes girls." He also told us his puppet could talk and press the button on its foot. He got the hint because he went back to his car and sat there for what seemed to be an eternity. He sat there with his door open, blasting music. Eventually left, quickly packed up our bags and booked it out of there. Now, it wasn't outright scary, but it was just the first part of some very strange occurrences on that day. We continued our hike down the Appalachian Trail. We talked about the creepy man we encountered for a while and then began sharing scary stories until we reached our campsite. Once we reached the campsite, we set up our tents and were just hanging out. We reached the campsite pretty early that day, so there was plenty of daylight left. A group of teen girls, we got bored easily and began walking around the campsite. We flirted with a group of boys until they got bored of us and eventually left. Then we decided to play a game called Elephants and Gazelles. The premise of the game is unimportant, but the game is best played with a large group of people. It just so happens that 3 guys walk over to our group and introduce themselves, not the guys we previously were flirting with. Since they came over and seemed friendly, one of the girls in the group decided to invite them to play. This is when things got weird. During breaks in the game, people would share personal stories, get to know each other more. Us girls who have been talking non-stop for a few days. Out of nowhere, one of the guys reveals that 2 of them are trans. Let me put it out there that I have absolutely no problem with people changing their genders. I believe people have the right to openly be who they are. But I just had to put that out there because I think it's weird. Not that they are trans, just that it came out of nowhere. Then began to talk about how they are trying to start their own reality show about 3 trans men who live in New York, and the 3rd member of the group who is not trans would just pretend to be on the show. Again, I just thought it was weird that they brought it up out of nowhere. I just found it kind of strange, especially since we barely knew them. Later in the game, I guess they were talking amongst themselves, start laughing loudly. One shouts, "That's funny because your dad is in jail." I think everyone is just getting kind of uncomfortable at this point. To break the ice, I suppose, one of the girls begins telling them the story of the creepy puppet man we encountered earlier in the day. They start laughing and tell us it's their uncle who dropped them off earlier in the day. Eventually, they said they were tired and were returning to their tent for the evening. We were all relieved and went on with whatever it was we did. Later, when a few girls went to the bathroom, they walked past their tent. On their way to the bathroom, they said that they heard them singing Justin Timberlake songs, and on the way back, they heard one of the guys yell, "Tickle fight!" It rained very hard that night. The next morning, we woke up and the tent was nowhere in sight. Very surprised because we got up around sunrise. Right before we left the campsite, I saw a piece of paper folded up on a stump near our tent. It read, "That rained on and peed our pants. It's all of you. Made friendships we had. Heart, the creepy guys who get no respect." Don't know what was worse. The fact that they were just told us all of those things for no reason, or that they were related to that creepy puppet guy. I'm a 33-year-old female from Los Angeles. Years ago, my boyfriend and I, as planned for 5 years, turned 30, sold everything we owned, including my car, took his Trailblazer, and decided to just travel around the States and Canada. I guess you could call us backpackers. Tend to chase good weather, find a state park, and backcountry hike into the wilderness for a few days at a time. My brother likes to joke that we are anti-establishment hippies. We don't necessarily live off the grid, but between the 2 of us, we have 1 prepaid phone for emergencies or checking in with family and friends, and 1 MacBook, which I use for work. I'm a free writer and content creator on retainer with a robotics company. I mostly write boring white papers on web content. The whole point of our living situation is to live debt-free and have as few bills as possible. I only use free Wi-Fi, so 1 to 2 times a week you have to go to a city with a Starbucks. This background info is only important so you know more about who we are and how simply we live. Neither of us is involved with social media, know very little about different programs like Instagram or YouTube apps. Last summer, we decided to do some backcountry hiking in Arkansas. It's one of those states you don't ever really hear about other hikers visiting, but we read that it had some beautiful natural landscape. It does. The rules of this particular park were pretty lax. We didn't need a permit. There were a few basic laws and guidelines, but there was no check-in needed. We did all the basics. Planned to do a 6-day hike, 3 in, 3 out. The whole time we were out there, we didn't see or hear another soul. But on one day, we were prepping to move off trail and find a camping spot as it was getting near dusk. 1.5 mile off trail is usually standard for us. We took what looked like kind of an animal trail, and about half a mile out we saw a green tent, almost camouflaged in the foliage on it almost by accident. Some backpackers prefer privacy, others are more social. We're the more social type. I've had some great experiences camping near other backpackers, sharing stories, food, building relationships. We were around 30 yards away from the tent. It was zip closed, so my boyfriend shouted a greeting to make our presence known. No movement, no sound. He assumed the tent guy either wasn't around or didn't want to be bothered, so he started off in a new direction to get some distance between us. Camped, I heard a peep. We moved along the next morning, completely forgetting about green tent guy until near the end of the day, 5 on our trek back. We were again looking for a spot to camp off the trail when the green tent again. This isn't that unusual, but normally backcountry hikers keep moving, so we really weren't expecting it. The tent flap was open, so my boyfriend yells his greeting again, and nothing. My boyfriend wants to go check it out, saying, weird and maybe someone is hurt. I like the idea from the get-go, because even though we hadn't had any bad experiences personally, I heard enough stories from other backpackers about hermits and mountain men that want privacy, guns, etc. But my boyfriend assured me that we'd be fine. If all else fails, offer him some smokables to keep the peace. Go on our way. As soon as we get within 20 yards of the place, the smell of decomposition tense. My boyfriend has been hailing his over the last 20 yards. Once the smell hits him, he stops and turns and says to me, "Find a body." My skin crawled. I was afraid. I've never seen a body before and don't want to. The closer we got to the tent, the worse the smell got. I knew for sure we were going to walk in from old camper's rotting corpse. What we found was worse than that. Outside the tent was a dead doe's legs, all 4 of them covered in flies. It looked like the legs had been cut most of the way and then ripped off the rest of the way. Mess. Inside was the body and head of the deer, but the middle portion was swaddled in a blue blanket, blood soaked at the bottom where the legs used to be. Lying on its side, bottom facing the tent entry. Cut off, and the orifices were covered in dried blood and a gape, like something had been penetrating it. Same with its mouth. The bottom portion was
What
bent
was the
down
reason,
at a scary,
bitch?
broken-looking angle. The tent was open, but we could see everything without having to go inside. Not that we could have anyway, because at this point the smell was almost debilitating. There was a dirty, almost empty clear bottle of Jergens baby oil, stained white fringed kitchen towel. That was it. I started crying and begged him to go. All my
Really?
boyfriend could muster was, "What?" And we turned and ran. We ran into the trail and jogged down for as far as we could until dusk was fully on us. And we had to
Ruby,
set
shut
up
your
camp.
ass up.
We didn't go very far off the trail, and neither of us slept. Start a fire or use headlamps after full dark. We just sat up whispering to each other, going over and over what we had just seen. Every little noise startled us. It was like our brains were on red alert. I kept thinking that at any moment this dead deer-having man would come back to his tent, our footprints or something,
Oh my
know where
god.
we were and track us back to our tent. I'd never been so scared in my entire life. Just before dawn, we tore down and started out. My boyfriend stopped at the ranger station on our way back out of the park to report what we had just seen. The ranger was a
That's
young
some
guy
bullshit.
around our age and looked as freaked out by our story as we were telling it. He wrote most of it down, and my boyfriend showed him on a map approximately where it had been. We asked if he knew how the deer was killed, and at that point we hadn't even thought about it. We just assumed it had been shot, but because of the blanket, the wound, but we weren't exactly giving it an autopsy either. We have since shortened our backcountry hikes to a maximum of 4 days. We've also been a lot less eager to call out to other campsites, and had never approached another unmanned tent again. This happened about 6 years ago. I was about 12 and my brother was 26 at the time. My brother had been serving in the U.S. Army for several years when this happened. He was deploying to the Middle East on his second deployment, if I remember correctly. Also